Welcome to the Bogart Effect, a wealthy wisdom podcast. Please see important disclosure information at the end of the presentation.
Well, how much should you put in something like that?
So it's typically recommended kind of industry-wide is the number, it's 3 to 6 months of daily living expenses.
And, I want to pull on that one a little bit more, only because I think job functions differ. And I say that simply because income can be a lot more volatile for certain jobs than others. Not to pick on them, but let's use realtors as an example, right? Like that's a commission sales-based job. They don't have big base salaries, right? So they're not living typically off their big base salaries. They need sales. And that's one where, you could have a fantastic month that could feed your entire year, or you could literally have nothing for 12 months and then all of a sudden have something come in. In that example where it's a sales role, where you have a lot more variability of income, I tend to like to expand that emergency bucket.
Based around stability.
Yeah,
basically.
well, and in some ways you've got a buffer in place to be able to use for the inevitable. I mean, some cases just pure living, but then the inevitable surprises. But for those that have stability, they've got a good salary, might be a bonus, whatever, they're not having the huge variation in their comp. Yeah, you could probably talk about that.
Right,
So within the emergency fund bucket, what are the appropriate, you don't want it in the checking account, right?
No, I mean, that's kind of what most people see it as, but if you don't need that money right away, if you don't have those emergencies, it's not working for you at all.
Well, and that's where I'm going with this, right? It's like money market conduits, and there's a huge difference between like a CD, a money market, a high yield savings account. I'm a believer. I want my money working for me as best possible. Like I look at what we're doing with the Schwab money market programs now at 5.2%, and I can get that money in a day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I'm parking all my emergency stuff or upcoming bills, things that I'm saving for. Like I prefer that over, say, for example, a short-term CD.
The previous podcast was intended for general information purposes only. The information discussed is no substitute for personalized investment advice from Bogart or another investment professional. Different types of investments involve varying degrees of risk, and it should not be assumed that the future performance of any specific investment, strategy, or service will be profitable, suitable, or successful. Bogart is not a law firm or accounting firm, and no portion of its services should be construed as legal or accounting advice. There is no guarantee a client will experience a certain level of results if Bogart is engaged. Our brochure describing services and fees can be found at www.bogartwealth.com.